So today we're speaking with Jeff Halonen, the co-founder and CEO of Steelhead Technologies, which will be exhibiting at FABTECH, which will be in Atlanta, November 8th through the 10th. Jeff, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Tim.
Great. So for those who may not know, tell us a little bit about Steelhead. I know you've got some software that really helps these shops become more efficient, tracking a lot of things. So tell us a little bit about the company, first of all.
Sure. So Steelhead Technologies is a software and a service company that focuses exclusively on the processing environment of manufacturing. So these are not manufacturers that have bill of materials, large engineering teams, large sourcing organizations, and as a result, their needs for a digital operating system or a plant manufacturing software is very, very different from actually some of their customers, which are building widgets and products and assemblies and things like of that nature. It's the high volume, high mix manufacturing environment, maybe relatively high labor involvement due to the very high mix. One's a toaster, the next one's a fender, the next one's a washer, right? It's very, very difficult. So it's an environment that is, in our perspective, starving for data, and it's that high
Mm-hmm.
manual component of the operation and high complexity. It's very, very different. One-off orders, or you'll do 100 orders a day, 50 orders a day, whatever it is for your shop. It's very burdensome to collect that information and action that information. So that's really what Steelhead sets out to do, is to have a platform that's easy to use so we can train operators in 10 minutes and actually have them participate in the digital manufacturing experience. So we have the data in the first place and then have a platform that management can use to action that data for operating the business.
Gotcha. I read an article a while back, maybe it was over a year ago, talking about owners of businesses, and it said something like 60 to 70% wanted to collect data. They thought it was extremely important, but only single digits, it was like 8% had implemented it. So it's like I think it almost is mind-boggling too. But really, there is a simple way, or I should say simple, but there is a way to do that to really collect data and see what's happening.
Yeah, that's a very interesting statement, Tim, and we think very deeply about it constantly, whether we're designing the product, whether our engineering team is looking at a new feature, whether we're deploying with a customer, and it's simply a configuration question. And basically, the question we go back to on a continual basis is, what is the cost of collecting that data? And then what's the
Mhm.
value of that data? Because if the value is, you know, 10 units, $10, however you measure it, and it costs you $10, you're not going to do it because it's not worth the time. You can go do something else more productive. But if you're able to collect that information that's worth $10 for $1 of effort, and that ratio is really, really high, where we can bring down the cost of actually having data on in your organization, that's where it becomes really compelling. We've heard it many, many times. Oh, we started to track that. Oh, we wanted to know our job cost information. Oh, or no, we would never track that. We would have to sit out there with a clipboard and a stopwatch all day long. And it's like, yes, if those are the tools available, that's what you would do. So they're telling us the cost of this data is too high, therefore we don't do it. And that's ultimately what we set out to do, is to take that cost of that data and drive it down so we make data more accessible and more usable for your enterprise.
Yeah, especially when manpower is such a premium for people today, right? They are having tough times hiring people to come in and do some of these things. It seems like it's of the utmost importance now for shops to really track what they're doing. And like I said, they don't have to have somebody sit there with a clipboard. It does it automatically. But it is crucial, I think, in any operation. What can be measured gets improved, right? That's what people always say. What can be measured gets improved. And that's exactly what you're trying to help these shops do, is measure and improve what they're trying, what their in their overall operations.
Yes, absolutely. And that's another interesting point, Tim. I mean, just the nature of the business that, whether it's racking parts or cleaning parts or grinding parts or running them through tanks or spraying them or something like that, there's a lot of jobs that are out there that, it takes a couple of hours of training and they're up and running. And, they're not the highest paying jobs that people can get. So consequently, there's a lot of turnover, especially in today's environment. So that's another thing that we focus on really heavily, is that operator training. Like, you can embed videos and pictures and training information, and then if they have a rework event that's tied to that individual, we all know how devastating rework is to the bottom line, right? It's opportunity cost, it's extra cost, and of course you don't charge your customers for that extra cost. So having that data to go back to that operator and say, hey, this is how you do this training, maybe machining or anything like that, or updating machines. But our goal is to train. We put a ton of energy into the operators. Like we work with operators every single day, and we'd like to be able to train them in 10 minutes to use our software, because again, that unlocks the data for your enterprise. What we've seen very often is if it takes a week or 2 weeks to train the operator, again, that's another component of your data now costs much more, and you're much less likely to do it, and you're likely to have that shop running on a paper system. And again, you just lost all of that data. So that data that they're starving for, they're not able to get because the cost is too high. So there's so many components that compile costs, and operator training is absolutely one of them.
Right, right. Let's talk about FabTech a bit. November 8th through 10th, it's in Atlanta. Big show. FabTech is finishing the component is a part of it. And I remember seeing you all at a show earlier this year. You had a lot of people coming by your booth. You actually can show them the software. You show them the screens. You show them some video of it actually being in operation. It really, I think, tells the story of how you all can help them. Correct?
Yeah, so we're in a unique position where our product is actually a software versus like a large piece of manufacturing equipment. It's very difficult to demonstrate that oftentimes on the plant floor. But if you come by our booth at FabTech, some of our most engaging conversations, we've sent out quotes to shop owners that day at the show after meeting with them for 2 hours at our booth. Like that's what happened at that last show, right? And it's something where you can say my favorite part about shows is when owners, directors, managers come up and say, okay, yeah, that's a fancy tool that does that. But what about? But what about this? But what about that? But what about that? And they throw about 15 what abouts at you. And then they go, okay, yeah, I could see how this could work in my facility. And then they start ideating, and then we go back and forth. Oh, we do it this way, do it that way. And it really doesn't take that much time. It can be 5, 10, 15 minutes to really start getting down to the foundations of how your business operates, and determining whether Steelhead's a fit for you, because there's certainly absolutely shops out there that Steelhead's not a fit for. But for the ones that it is a fit for, it's often very, very compelling, and we can generally demonstrate that very, very quickly, and at least
Right,
say, hey, is this something that's worth exploring for you? Is this something that even plant the seed? Because whether it's Steelhead or another system, it's everyone's always thinking about. You hear it all the time. Oh yeah, in the next year, the next 2 years, we're going to start looking at something like that. So even if it's just another way of thinking it, because we've spent we have 6 full-time engineers that work on our product every single day, right? So we spend a ton of mental energy thinking about manufacturing and how to do it in the processes and the tools. So worst case scenario, you might learn something, right? Even if you choose not to pursue Steelhead.
right, right. It's interesting. If a shop buys a tank and it gets put into their facility, or it's going to stay right there. If they buy spray guns or anything, but with this software, as you all learn more about it going forward, it's not like you can update it, right? Things can be updated, and like you said, with the engineers you have who are putting, learning more about what plater or platers or powder coaters are asking you, pretty easy to update things and get it some new technology involved with it, right?
Yes, absolutely. It's so Steelhead is a subscription model, which you subscribe to the software, you subscribe to the service, which means you have someone from the Steelhead team to work with that at all times. But it's very much a long-term partnership where we're not sending a USB stick in the mail. You download it and good luck, right? It's a team
Right.
that's there with you. It's the team that is working to overcome challenges across the entire industry. So it's very common that you wake up one morning and hey, I have a new tool. It now can do like in the last several weeks here, we released capacity planning so that we can look at backlogs by different treatment type, by different station, by different process, and create a forward-looking schedule and provide accurate backlog estimations back to the customer. So that's like an example of a feature that wasn't there before, and you loved it and it's working, but now hey, we have this additional functionality that you can evaluate. But it even goes beyond just strictly features and functionality. It's even things like cybersecurity, right? We invest an inordinate amount of resources making sure that your data is secure, that Steelhead's secure.
Mm.
So that's an ongoing effort. I mean, if you look in the news about data and cyber, um, you can quickly understand what. And some of our customers have had this, or they've been locked down for 4 days, their entire plant malware, right? Their
Mm.
servers are bricked, right? So I mean, we're hosted on Amazon GovCloud, so we invest a lot of resources in the stability of the platform, backing up the data. So it's really it's very different than a piece of machinery in that way, that it's such a living, breathing organism that continues to grow. And honestly, our customers are absolutely critical and that growth. I mean, Steelhead is where it is today, based on thousands and thousands of interactions with actual customers using it in the real world, and that's why we're so excited to partner with shops that are ready to take their shops to the next level,
Mhm.
because they're the ones that are like, hey, this is great, but what if we could do this, or what if we could do that?
Right.
And that's really the
Hmm.
fuel for us to
Right.
build on, for us to work on. We don't sit there and just think of things to build, right? It's almost always driven from a customer.
Right, real life experiences with that. Well, so people don't have, like I said, the show's in November. They don't have to wait. They can go to your website, go Steelhead. They can give you a call. You can walk them through this. I'm sure you have some, meetings that you can kind of show them online of how they can use it. So they don't need to wait for that, but definitely they should come and at least take a look at this and see exactly to hear what it is that you all can do for them, which they probably haven't, either they haven't thought about it or they just thought it was out of their realm to do it, but they definitely could jump on it. But like I said, just visiting you all and giving you all a call now. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Right on our website there. And you certainly don't have to jump on a meeting with us to start learning more. You can do it at your own pace during lunch. If you go to about our product, one of the tabs there, I think we have about 6 or 7 videos, and we go through in pretty detailed how we do certain parts of your manufacturing process. So I would encourage you to watch a couple of those videos, and what I think you're going to see is, hey, that looks a lot like how we operate. That data structure, that flow, I can picture that over in that part of the plant, picture that over there. So yeah, no need to set up a meeting with us to even take that first step. But of course, the information is
Mhm.
right there on the website to reach out and contact us. And then the only other thing I would say is, as far as like getting started, it's always, um, you know, changing the software my plant is just this massive multi-year $100,000 undertaking, right? We don't charge anything up front. We can deploy really quickly in days or weeks, depending on the size of your enterprise, to get that system up and running, and then we can improve upon it over time. So we like to be really low friction. We like to deploy quickly, and so it's I guess the what we're hoping to do is kind of shift the paradigm of what it is to move to a new software from, this is a 6 to 18 month project that costs us tons of money, and hopefully it works.
Right.
We like it to
Right.
cost you nothing up front. We want you to know that it works up front. We'll actually test it out and prove it in your plant in a short period of time, 1 to 2 days, and then you can make that evaluation of whether it actually works, because we physically have walked around your plant, and we physically have
Hmm.
generated the data that you've been seeking for all this time. So um, it's
Right.
no obligation to get started. There's no massive contract, anything like that. We want you to use Steelhead because you get value out of it every single day, right from square one.
Right. It's funny. I was talking to a finisher the other day who told me that I guess 3 or 4 years ago they added a lot of data collection and things with
Hmm.
screens everywhere in their shop. And one point he made was that today's workers, the younger workers that are coming in, like that. They like to see that type of thing instead of, like I said, logging. They want to see visual, and they're all pretty technology savvy about things, and so they could pretty much pick it up. But he mentioned that it really sort of upcharged a lot of their employees who saw this. They were very familiar with some of the things that were going on and really liked it. So like I said, that could be another a thought that a shop owner would want to think about is how this is going to really help their workers and really make them feel like they're more, the production wise and everything. They're really part of it as well. So yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
yeah,
that's the goal. It's not all about just everyone just doing extra work to get information for a couple key decision makers at the top. That really isn't it. It's about improving the day-to-day lives of everyone involved all along the way, whether you're sending out shippers or you're sending out quotes or you're moving parts through the line or entering quality information, whatever that task is. uh, the goal is to make that person's job easier for everyone, add value to the entire enterprise. And we've seen it very often where for folks that have gone from having Excel sheets or a tool that doesn't really work that well or paper to now having kind of a world-class, brand new, really flashy, cutting-edge technology. The worker satisfaction is actually elevated, and they're really excited about it. So it's a good workplace improvement as well to be using a really modern, easy-to-use system.
right. And I'm sure when customers come in these shops and see this, it sort of makes them think that this shop's also got it together as well. They're really tracking these things. That's got to be a good sell point these shops to sell to their customers as well. Look what we're doing. This is what we're trying to do here. So yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. Even
yeah,
those eliminating those phone calls. Hey, where are my parts? Right. Even something that simple, right? So we can send emails right out of the platform, interact with customers out of the platform, customer dashboards. So it's kind of like the image of your facility in the business ecosystem is elevated because it's like, oh yeah, hold on, let me get that for you. Pull out your phone, bang, done. Or oh, you want to sign that shipper here? Sign it on
right,
my tablet, right? It's just that. Oh, and here's all the information. It's clean, it's ready. They walk out in the plant, they see the tablets, they see the TVs on the wall. It's like, oh, you know where things are at. You can find things quickly. So it's yeah, it absolutely has an impact on your perception in the business community.
right. Great. Well, again, it's going to be November 8th through the 10th in Atlanta, FabTech. I know it's always a big show. A lot of people go with it and everything. You all will be there. And again, people can go to gosteelhead.com to see about your software. But Jeff, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you in Atlanta.
Thanks so much, Tim. See you soon.